Bollocks! 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 Hi! Welcome to Toyah and Robert, your deeply unqualified agony aunts, ready to serve up a pile of useless answers to only a tiny few of your many, many burning questions.
Jeremy Richards, you've asked, have we ever seen a UFO? Well, we're going to tell a joint story, but firstly, I was coming back late one night on the A38 from Bristol to Salisbury when two cars ahead of me stopped, and it was about midnight, and they were pointing to the sky, and basically they wanted me to witness what they were seeing. And in the sky was one of those renowned triangles of lights, and it was just shifting everywhere. So 3 cars full of people witnessed that. I was one of those people. But the other one we wanted to talk to you about happened in our bedroom.
Well, there we were in bed in Cecil Beaton's reddish house at night, clearly, and a light came in through the window across the bedroom.
It came in because we had, our bed was there, window there, window there. The light came in, travelled through the bedroom and out the other way. Now, what we think happened, because we live near Salisbury Plain, which is where the army practices, and Porton Down, which is where the army used to do chemical experimentation. They were obviously testing a weapon, and it was a light weapon that could travel, and it went right through the house. Luckily, we were far back against the wall in our bed for the light not to touch us. So that was, kind of technology story there, because a lot of people believe that we borrow alien technology.
So I would recommend you go to a fairly recent website, exostudies.org, with very good resources of articles and books, which actually amplify on what T said. There are stories, of course, that the American military is developing various bits of equipment based on alien technology. Now it's quite obvious that we're barking mad. All right, fine, but head on over to exostudies.org and read the material for yourself.
Well, I'd say that each time I've witnessed something that could be under the title of UFO, I've been with witnesses, and that kind of makes it really kind of important. Also, my brother was a Harrier fighter pilot in about 1972, and he said the times he flew with an object next to him, and he was told never ever to tell anyone he saw these things. So you start to think, there's something out there that we don't know about. Whether it's technology we don't know about or otherworldly is another thing. Sandra Roscoe Wolf, what's your favourite joke?
Go on.
Okay, my favourite joke is utterly childish, and I love it. It creases me up every time. Did you hear about the man with 2 left feet who went into a shop to buy a pair of flip-flips? Love that joke. What's yours, Robert?
Well, mine is a Mullah Nasruddin joke. Mullah Nasruddin, this character of very many Eastern tales. I recommend you to Idris Shah on this. Also his son Tahir Shah's excellent recent book, Travels with Nasruddin. The Russian occupation of Afghanistan. Mullah Nasruddin is seconded in to assist the Russian military on supervising a curfew. The curfew is at 6 o'clock. So anyone who's out in light at 6 o'clock is shot. That's the curfew. So at 5 o'clock, there is Mullah Nasruddin on the parapets with his Russian supervisors, and Nasruddin has a rifle. And at 5 o'clock, a man comes by, and Nasruddin begins to shoot at him. And it's 5 o'clock, an hour before the curfew. And the Russian officer says to him, Nasruddin, what are you doing? This man, it's 5 o'clock. And the Nasruddin says, I know where that man lives. He won't be home before 7.
Okay. Thank you, Robert.
Yeah, there we go, dear.
There's another career waiting for you. Clive Green house music do you like to listen to when you are feeling a bit down and need cheering up? I've got quite a list here.
Go.
One is Hulse Planet Suite, because I have such happy memories, and very rare happy memories at school, with a wonderful music teacher called Miss Nelson, who got music into my body by clearing the desks and saying, right, Toyah. This was in class. She'd get everyone to clear the desks to the edges of the room and says, right, Toyah, you're now going to dance to Hulse Planet Suite. And that's how I understood timing, through my body. And that brings me joy. Every time I hear Mars, Bringer of War, I just want to dance. And of course, there's always the Rolling Stones, which I find on film sets when it starts raining. Just put on Jumping Jack Flash and everyone starts dancing in the rain with joy. How about you?
Well, I gave this some thought this week and pulled up a few of my favourite tracks. Vaughan Williams is a good character to go to. I mean, Lark's Ascending is a bit of a chestnut, but it goes to a place.
Can you really seriously say that?
Lark Ascending is so well played, so popular, it's become a chestnut, but it still retains power for me. Also, the variants of Dives and Lazarus, also a winner for me. I very much like Leonard Bernstein's After Plato's Symposium, Agathon, played by Hilary Hahn. Hilary Hahn has a tone about her playing that really speaks to me. Also, Judy Collins, always there when I need her.
That's your go-to music, isn't it?
Yes, Wildflowers and Who Knows Where the Time Goes.
And did you go and see her at Wimborne Tivoli? It was sold out. Did you manage to get in?
No, I saw that Judy was touring England a few years ago. She was in Wimborne Tivoli, the place of my arising. Sold out.
Well, it's not surprising. Sarah Cook, how long have we been veggie? Well, January the 1st, 2020, I decided I'm becoming veggie. Now, I have been veggie for decades, but in recent years, I started to eat meat, and I just didn't like myself for doing it. So I became veggie 1 year, 3 months ago. We do occasionally have fish, but I'd say I'm more veggie than Robert when it comes to fish, because I just love fresh veg and fresh fruit. And I really just don't want to support animal slaughter, but I would support good husbandry, if that makes sense, when animals are raised hand to hand by human beings and the animals and the human beings know each other. Is that possible in this day and age? Sadly, not at the moment. So I prefer to be veggie.
I became a vegetarian in 1974, a pescatarian in the 1990s. But may I say that manners are more important for me than dietary preferences or inclinations. I have been served, for example, duck pate at a lunch by an older lady. Bear in mind, the generation older, even than mine, didn't really have much vegetarian on its mind. So I have been served, as I mentioned, with tea, visiting an elderly person for lunch, duck pate, which I ate. And I have been served chicken by another older gentleman who never occurred to him I might be vegetarian.
But the thing is, you didn't know it was chicken and you didn't know it was duck pate. And we've often gone to parties, and my husband's favourite thing to do at parties is to eat. And he goes straight for the canapes. And then I'm just giggling away because those canapes are either duck, chicken or meat, and he doesn't know.
I was aware that the duck pate and the chicken were what they were, dear. However, my wife is referring to situations where, as an innocent, I stumble in and find myself consuming creatures of whom I have not had a close acquaintance.
Thank you for that question, Sarah. AB UK, you ask, having watched our wonderful Sunday lunches, and we did a major interview with Rolling Stone this week because of the Sunday lunches, and I'm so grateful because it's probably the first and last time I will be in Rolling Stone. It won't be for you because they absolutely adore you and you have an audience in America. But it's been a glorious week thanks to Sunday lunches. And you ask, AB UK, how does it feel performing other artists' music? Can I answer that first?
Please.
It's taught me that what appears simple as a composition takes incredible talent and artistry. And to serve something up musically that appears simple is a great gift. And what I mean by the word simple is popular music. It's taught me so much about the brilliance of the songwriters and the brilliance of the lyric writers, in that they can hit the nail on the head with just 4 lines. It's phenomenal. It's taught me, it's been a complete insight into human nature and a great journey to learn these songs and perform them. How about you, Robert?
For me, I'd say it's been a very rich experience. And going back to my early days as a player, my aim was to be able to play anything that I was asked to play. So in Bournemouth hotels, playing dances and so on, I would have been expected to play the popular music of the day. And what the band said at the Majestic, they turned to me and say, "What twists do you have, Bob?" And I was expected to produce band parts for the latest hit of the day. Now, moving forward or backwards some 50 or 60 years, today I go into and involve myself in the guitar parts and repertoire of great guitarists, phenomenal guitarists and groups for the past 50 years. And the technical standards of the players have moved so much forward from when I was a beginning player.
And the songs we're doing are culturally so important. They have changed our culture. And these songs are going to be about for eternity. They are that powerful. And when I say, simple song, I'm saying it because I work with someone who's the offspring of a classical arranger, and classical people do not like pop and do not like rock, and they refer to it as simple, and it ain't simple. This is the work of poets. Bruce Springsteen, a poet. Patti Smith, a poet. These are great modern poets, and to perform this kind of cultural song has been fabulous. It's been an absolute joy. Robert, you ask, and it's not you, Robert, it's Robert Clidgen, says, "I love your mug you're drinking from with the bees on. Please explain."
All right, here we are. Now, this is the bee mug for our tea, and also from the collection of bee crockery, this is a very nice milk jug. As we've mentioned before on Agony Aunts, I did keep bees in the 1980s and still have a very little of the honey from them. I'm not sure how many of our visitors here know of a book, The Way of the Bee, Simon Buxton in 2006, that I was reading recently, about the shamanism of bee law, which is thought perhaps even to antedate Chinese acupuncture.
Also, honey lasts over 3,000 years. Now, one of the reasons we're so connected to bees is our darling Bill Reeflin flew away this week, and we're celebrating his flying away today. We've kept everything in the house related to Bill, and one of his nicknames was Bibbly Bee, and this is his tea caddy. And Robert said to me a year ago, "Shall we get rid of this?" I mean, as a question, not as a demand. And I said, no, this is with us forever. Bibbly Bee's tea jar. So he's very much still with us.
Keep going, lovey.
And this will be in front of us as we toast him tonight and celebrate his very gifted and beautiful life. And for all of you out there who are missing him and know him, we're thinking of you too.
You may notice as well that my tie is a celebration.
Yes, by Craig Fellows, brilliant designer. I got you that, didn't I?
Yes, sweetie.
Tommy Johnny, what's your morning routine?
All right, I rise at 6:15. I salute the day. I say, "Hello, God," whatever God is for me. I do my physical exercises to alert my body to the day. I have a shower. I come down from my morning sitting. Then I move to a strong latte and my morning reading and listening. My morning reading, if I'm too busy like the past week, is more limited, but this is my mind food.
I only sleep deeply between about 6:30 a.m. and 9 a.m. So as Robert's getting up, I just leave a little note out saying if I'm not up by 9, wake me, because he knows that's the only time I really fall asleep. My routine ideally would be 2 hours of guitar practice, reading a book and not looking at email until at least 2 in the afternoon, but that is not what happens in my life. It's so busy at the moment. Recommended. This is a great question, and I've been thinking about this question all day, and I've just come back from the studio where we are literally 99.99% of delivering posh pop. We are that close. And this question affects every musician and everyone who wants to be a musician. If you woke up tomorrow and the music industry ceased to exist, how would you set up a new music industry? What you say goes, so what would it be?
Go.
Okay. One of the most controlling aspects of the music industry is people stockpiling so that they own all the artists' work as one massive group, and they are not active with the artist's back catalogue. They are just stock building for the value of the company. Now, these companies, and there's virtually one major company in the world at the moment, controls what's played where you go to buy your coffee, what's played in your favourite restaurant, what's played in your shopping mall, what's played in your favourite shops. While they control that music, smaller unknown artists will never ever be able to take a tape into a coffee shop and say, please, would you play this for me and sell my CD? It's becoming so controlled, so homogenized, we are losing our creative musical culture. And the first thing I would do if I had control over the world is I firstly would ban large corporates from owning artists' back catalogue and publishing if they're not active with promoting that creativity for that artist. And I would make sure that any venue, whatever it is, where a member of the public could walk into, had the freedom to play whatever they wanted to play. Then I'd start with the smaller venues who for at least 2 nights every week of every year would allow new artists to play for no cost whatsoever and would be funded by the government, so that we have this creative culture permanently growing. How about you, Robert?
Well, immediately I would keep the music industry as it is, that is the structure of it, so that music continues to be available. But firstly, I would introduce the equitable distribution of income.
Yes.
So
only goes to the top 1%.
So the artists receive, particularly on streaming, a fair amount for their work. Secondly, the key thing is that the artists would actually own their work.
Yeah.
So those are the first 2 things. Then I would move out and I would begin to look at collection societies. And I would look at who is collecting what for whom, and whether the collection agency is actually serving the interests of its members or the people running it. And there is no end to the answers that we could present to this.
It's a fantastic question. And here we are in a lockdown. We don't know how long this is going to affect live performance, for the live audience to come and experience live music and see their friends. It's never been a more important time to protect our industry. And when I say our, I mean the musicians and the creators and the performers. Carly Enman, you asked, what's the worst show you've ever played? Well, this depends on the venue, depends on the performance, depends on the audience, depends on the event. What categorises worse? Have you got an answer, Robert?
Yes, I do, dear.
Go
you
on.
were at it. I mean, there may be others worse than this, but how about the 1st of July 2004 at the Congress Palais in Paris, with me opening for...
I stood up and screamed for 3,000 people to shut the F up. I'll let you explain what happened.
Well, I was the opening act for G3, and I probably wasn't the right choice, I must say. And there were, I believe, 5,000 people on that occasion, Lovey. But anyway, I walked on, and my opening soundscapes generally weren't well received, even when the equipment worked. And on this occasion, my equipment didn't work, and I went to begin, and the siren-like sound emerged. So John Sinks, my wonderful engineer, much missed, and ran on to sort it while I spoke to the audience in halting French before returning to see if it worked, and it didn't quite work. Then the booing was somewhat louder than the actual sound being produced, and eventually I left. And at this performance there was my wife, our friends Richard and John, my sister from America with her friend Nancy, and our two good friends from Denver, Carolyn and Bill Jones.
Okay, I was in the audience. There was a slight problem that we've now since solved, and Robert wasn't lit. He used to go on stage and not be lit, so no one really knew he was on stage, and they didn't know the show had started. And I think we can now say we agree Robert must be seen when he's on stage. But the booing was so cruel and so unkind. I know I stood up and shouted, "Shut the fuck up, you listening to a genius." I think your sister did as well. We had to do the same at the Albert Hall. It was just not a great tour for you, but your playing was breathtaking.
Well, I'm not sure I fully concur, but I must say, if my equipment could only make siren-like sounds, well, I can understand people being discomforted.
For me, when you say worst show you've ever played, all I will say to you as a performer, and all performers will recognise this, whatever's going on in your head that makes it you think as an artist, it's the worst show you've ever played. I always tell myself, for some people, this is life-changing in the audience. It never reflects in the audience. The audience has a completely different experience. When I was 18, I was in a stage play at the National Theatre in London when there was a bomb scare, and I was the only actor on stage. And a man stood up in the audience. We were in the Olivier Theatre, 3,000-seater, and the man said, "Excuse me, there's a parcel under my seat." And I was too young to cope or deal with this. And I stood there and I carried on with my lines until the German superstar who directed this play, Maximilian Schell, walked up on stage, put his arm around me and said, "We're going to stop the show, Toyah. Please, everyone, calmly leave the building." For me, I didn't know how to handle that experience, and it was a time of a lot of bombings going on in London. So everyone, very, very civilised, left the theatre. We all congregated on Waterloo Bridge, where all of us artists started to busk for the audience. About an hour and a half later, we went back in after the bomb squad had been in. That potentially could have been a terrifying performance. It was a learning curve. So, ladies and gentlemen, before Robert plays his wonderful, wonderful chord, we want to thank the NHS, we want to thank the carers, the cooks, the cleaners, the delivery men, the scientists, the doctors, the surgeons, the food growers. We want to thank everyone who is keeping this world ticking over while we get through this phenomenon of this virus. We are so grateful to you.
Bless you and thank you.
So, Robert, what's the magic chord today?
Well, I've been giving this some thought, as I usually do, since I'm serving up crocks of interesting things to our chums out there. Well, look, let's hope it's plugged in. Are we plugged in?
Do you want me to turn you up?
I'm not sure
Excuse me, everybody.
All right, well, I'm sure that's fine. So look, what I thought is, how about an A7th, but arpeggiated with a 13th in there, and then maybe mostly okay, dear. And then we could take it a little further, pushing my luck as a player here. Bollocks. Close. How about this? suspended.
Ladies and gentlemen, take care. We'll see you tomorrow for Toyah and Robert's Sunday lunch. Only one bollocks.
Please be well and stay safe. Chums out there.